Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I am still goofing off with all the setup stuff, lighting, everything, so it's going to change every time. Just want to give you guys a heads up. If anybody's watching this later and be like, what the heck? This is all coming from scratch. So I appreciate you being a guinea pig if you're watching. Uh, Day 7, brand new account. We are 1 day away from the new set of Innistrad Remastered being released. Um, we're not desperately changing what we're going to do right now towards that set because we're still trying to acquire cards from the original sets. If we take a sneak peek at what our set collection dial looks like, we've got almost one copy of half of Phyrexia All Will Be One. We've gotten almost 25% of the Brothers War and 25% of the previous two sets, New Capeno and the Alchemy Baldur's Gate. I don't care about that much, but Dominari, that's the one I was thinking of. So, um, it's slow and steady winning the race here. We're not spending money. We're not trying to go super quick. We're just taking the resources that we're getting given to us and we're using them in the most efficient way possible to get the most amount out of it. That means that when we see a daily reward of 750 gold, we ain't swapping that out. We're keeping it because that's the most amount of gold we can get. We also still have some weekly win dials that will help us move. And when we cast our 100th spell, they're going to give us 5 decks. I bet there's a few cards in there that we're going to get. So that's what we're working towards. Blue or red spells. Let's take a look. What could we use that would be proficient in the blue-red spells world? I do think that if we took a look at like the red, we would cast a lot of blue or a lot of red, and it's relatively quick and it's relatively good. We also have the Aquafax, which are like the water artifacts deck that we didn't really do a ton of testing on. The only negative side of this is that we have so many of these cards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 different cards that are not blue. And so there's an opportunity for us to miss a lot of these artifact sort of, I'm sorry, the blue triggers towards our daily goal. If I look at the red deck, I feel like the red deck doesn't have like those off-color brand cards. Everything is pretty much a red card in here, right? Except the Furnace Skullbomb. I was looking at a couple other people's red decks, and they were using things like Cacophony Scamps and Churning Reservoirs, along with the Urbask Forges that we picked up from the oil to make the deck kind of function a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. And I thought that was pretty good. So since we have some forges, we're going to toss those in. And since we have some Cacophony Scamps and Churning Reservoirs, we can toss those things in. And we can remove things like this Assault. And I do think we don't need the Professional Breaker up there. We have some Fuselings. I was looking for some Reckless Impulses. I don't think we've got it. I like the ability to draw cards on the cheap. We have one Reckless Impulse. We'll take it. We did have some of these Cacophony Scamps, which are super fun. They like do a single piece of damage after you get back out. Other things that we're looking at were like Play with Fire would have been really good, which I don't see a copy of. These Voltage Surges are fine. If this spell's additional cost was paid, you have to sacrifice an artifact. We're probably not doing that too often. The Free from Fleshes will add oil counters to things like the Exuberant Fuselings to kind of pump them up just a little bit. And unfortunately, we don't have like the really quintessential key pump cards like the prowess, the priest that has the prowess. Say that 5,000 times. So, on the negative side, we added Churning Reservoir, which is a bit of a do-nothing artifact when it hits the deck. On the positive side, we have the Forge over here, and we also added in a little bit of card draw piece to what we're doing. I would live without the sacrifice. Kind of like these. I could live without that too. Without going too crazy over here, What other things could we do that affect the board quite a bit? I like the antagonized pumps onto what we've got going on. If we're not going to have the spell guy who gives an extra little pump every time, we should definitely utilize the larger spell, the larger pump that goes on there. Um, Whenever you cast a non-creature, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's a 1/3. It actually provides a little bit of defense in red. Doesn't have haste, unfortunately. Neither does things like the halberd, um, the patrol, and the shrapnel slinger. Those are all kind of defensive-based cards without haste in them that could really slow things down a little bit. But we're going to live with it. Whenever a samurai warrior you control attacks on, you may discard a card, and if you do, you draw a card. Kind of a cleaner. Exile the top 2 cards of your library, and you can play those cards this turn. Just this turn. I don't like that. Just not likely to have that much mana set aside. Although, in a pinch. The Sprinter is the other option. We get a chance to drop off 2 different oil counters, and it's a nice little mana sink if we've got a forge sitting up on the side. I could live without something like the halberd over here, or the domination, and I could toss in a couple of sprinters and probably be pretty happy with how things turn out. Let's go with goodbye on the halberd, hello on the magmatic sprinters. I'm actually kind of digging this line right here. And I got nothing against these 5 cards right here. It's these 4. Well, really 3. I like this card a lot too. I can see this getting used. Although it's a little sketchy. I don't want to move anything up. No. We've got 24 total lands, and we've got no good card sleeve. What do you think? We put some green in here to try to make our Vioshinos good, but we didn't put any green in here. That was going to slow us down. We could come down. We're at a 1.8 average. We definitely don't need that much land. This is 21. A 21 red land special sounds good. As long as we're staying on the low end of things. Oh, adding more do-nothings, though, isn't going to help us. What do you do? Destroy up to 1 target artifact and put a +1 counter on a target creature. Kind of fun. It's okay. We still have this Ronin. We have an Axiom Engraver that helps us clean cards, but we're just not moving that slow. We got to go fast. And you think you'd be excited about having room in your deck for extra stuff. Target creature gets +3 and gains first strike until end of turn. Kind of a neat little pump spell, and that seems to be one of the natures of the secret sauce. Thrill of Possibility, you have to discard a card and you get to draw 2. Sunstrike, target creature gets 3. Sprouting Vitality, target creature gets 3+1 until end of turn. If it's your turn, it gains trample. Otherwise, it gains first strike. Sure, that's a better pump spell than that. So, can't hurt. We need 1/1 do something bodies on deck here. And honestly, the faster they do something, the better. A 2/1 first striker that makes a blood token in return allows things like Gleeful Demolition to go off, which we don't have, so that's not going to work too well. We just need 2 more. Let's give us 2 more real quick. I don't know. The Synthesizer, maybe? When it enters the battlefield, exile the top card of your library until the end of the turn. You can play that card, so it's kind of like it replaces itself, and then you can sacrifice it and make a Samurai. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's better than putting 2 oil counters on something for 2 and replacing itself, I think. Isn't it? We're going to try it out and see. Let's see what this looks like. So, this is not obviously like a meta red. This is the deck you're going to want to play. This is just the deck we're going to play in order to see if we can't knock out some of the daily quest and we can start acquiring cards again. Because that's what we're here for. We're here to expand our influence. New green screen's working good, which is kind of neat. The shadow is not working so good, so we would need another piece of lighting, like over here, to kind of prevent that. Or we could do some lighting from overhead. That's the other option. So like I said, we're a work in progress. Sure, we're going to keep it. We got a nice 3-drop. We got a good 1-drop. We got a 2-drop. We're okay. We'll organize our cards just to make life easy for us. Goldhound comes up. He's got First Strike and Menace. We're not going to block that, but that's okay because an Urbaz Forge is possible here in a very short period of time. It may seem ridiculous, but you kind of want to get rid of this thing. You do not want to give them a chance to cancel. Wait a minute, what happened? You do not want to give them a chance. Thank you. Click next. Click all attack. Yeah. So, we're still going to do some damage to you. We're going to toss you out. Move on. Okay, so we didn't use Free from Flesh to pump up that spell just because there wasn't much there. Now, he's got full mana. I'm expecting a full explosion over here. So, let's see what he does when we say all attack. And here comes the spell in 3, 2, 1. But that's okay. We're drawing out those spells. We're tossing in a Menacer, making it a little more difficult. I'm hoping he puts something on the board here. Right, puts a few of his own. That's good. We are going to be attacking, and we are going to be attacking with our Squee. Magmatic Sprinter is just so much better when there's stuff to put on it. Sure. It's okay. That's okay. We need 4 things to come out of here. I guess we can. So let's go. Okay. So we're going wide fast, and we've got a difficult to deal with Magmatic Patrol. We also have a hidden 3 damage. So right now we're threatening 5, 6, 7. Shivian Devastator is going to remove the majority of that. Alright, let's go here. And let's just attack with that and this. Right? And we'll stick it on this. This guarantees it gets across the finish line. It gets 2 damage in there. 8 to 13. My man could put us on a 2-turn clock, which is really pretty good. Maybe a little bit less, but in this guy goes. We're going to drop him right there, which is always good. In this guy goes, and we're going to stick it right there, which is good. And then we're going to all attack because we're going to lose some things, right? What kind of things could we lose? What kind of things could we lose? I think we're gonna lose. Well, let's just get that damage in there. We'll see what happens here. So 3 gets over the top on that one. No, nothing. That's okay. Forge has got bigger things to deal with. Hey, you know that's not cool, right? We need a burn spell for that cooldown. Come on. I'll stick it there. It's fine. That is not a burn spell. Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost. We just had a Gold Hound is a perfect answer to a Forge because you can just stand there on it. We got close. We needed that burn card, and we just didn't get it. But the cool thing is, it's so fast. It's so fast. That's 10 cards. Yay! I've never lost so fast and been so happy. Oh my god. Yeah, that. Yeah, you know, you get down to like that one card, like you're just facing each other with one card on either side, and it's like, okay, did you get it or did I? Let's see. Antagonize is a better pump spell than what we drew the entire time. This is a nice face card, so we keep. We could either cast both of these cards on the next turn, or we could cast our Antagonize. It kind of depends on what we think we see happening. But the best part about the Cacophony Scamp is that ability to blow itself up. And if we can blow ourselves up to great effect, right? Unfortunately, we're not going to play that. If we blow ourselves up to great effect, things like no decline. Like with an Antagonize on us, we'll be doing a 5 damage fireball either to the face of the opponent or to one of his biggest, strongest creatures that he's got that's really giving us a big difficulty. That's not one of them. I do think that in general we need to minimize the life drop, otherwise he's lengthening the time that we've got on our deal. So we'll just double attack this, and we'll say decline, because we're not ready to blow up just yet. Who's going? Probably the Fusilier, right? Yeah. We'll take it. Unfortunately. We'll click next. Just all attack. Decline. I don't think we can equip this, right? Sure. We might as well. Obviously didn't utilize my resources as well as I'd like to there. Okay. I think that we are going next. I'll attack. Right? We're doing this. We're going to antagonize the heck out of this thing. And then we're going to say... Turn. Time to put a Forge out, I think. What do you think? Yeah. We might need it to get past. We're holding on to our Lightning Strike, using it like a removal spell. And the cool thing is, we're still not able to... Well, yeah, we're able to use it. We're able to double. So, we're going. Just little onesies. We'll survive. Alright, so we're threatening 3 with another 3 in our hand, so we have to get within 6 in order to say that we are going to be threatening lethal if we've got a free attack. And Urbask Forge will be up to a 2-drop. That'll be 4 total damage on the next turn. 4 plus 2, or 2 is 4. 4 is 9. 9 minus 3 is, yeah, just not enough. Interesting. Just do that. Keep you a Skull Bomb. So close. Cool. We'll click next. Coming in. Best part about Forge is just you getting like a free creature that it's okay if it dies. Alright, we could have definitely added the 3+1, and it just wouldn't have been enough to make a lethal attempt. Now we'll be threatening 5 + 3 is 8, so it's a lot closer. Well, we've been here before. We know what to do about this. Interesting. I'm just going to let the damage ride. Right? So the next Forge is able to be blocked by the Sentry. Okay with that? I know what it seems like. You done messed up. You don't know it yet, but we'll be attacking with 2 things that have greater than 4 damage. And that's just going to be too much. We have 5 total mana too, so like, there's so many things we can do. Just pump this guy up. Good game. Okay. Alright. Our red deck didn't run out of juice, even though we didn't do a good job of using the card draw, the impulses, the synthesizers. We didn't do that correctly. I was watching as we were playing and thinking, dang, I'm messing this up, like every step of the way. So, okay, it happens. It says we leveled up, which doesn't surprise me. It says we are 18 out of our 100 spells towards getting those decks. We're not running towards that either. We're looking really just towards the gold. If we can get the gold, we can do the jumping. We can do the jumping. We can make a new deck. Maybe. I don't know. We can at least get new cards. That's kind of exciting. And then tomorrow, a whole new set comes out, which means whole new jumping packets, which kind of breathes in fresh life into all the decks that are possible. Phyrexia All OB1 has been largely acclaimed as one of the least fun sets of Magic that's been released in a long, long time. And that's a shame. You know, I mean, I enjoyed drafting it. I feel like I'm pretty good in the draft format with it. But it's a shame that it kind of has that mentality. A Turning Reservoir down with an Urbox Forge on turn 3. I know we don't affect the board, and we are mono red, and this is probably the kiss of death, but it's such a sweet, sweet kiss. I can't imagine not being enticed. Okay, nothing changed here, so we just click next and end turn. The guy's thinking, what the heck, mono red sits in the back, does nothing? I don't get it. But he's also sitting in the back doing nothing buying his time. We've got 3 colors, red, white, blue, or red, white, green. So, our Forge is done, and the best part about it is our Reservoir pumps our Forge up each time. So boom, boom, boom. Let's put a body out there. All right. Let's click next. And let's all attack. We're still a turn away from using our Free From Flesh on our Exuberant Fuseling in hopes to try to pump it up. The Turning Reservoir pumps the Forge pumps the Fuseling, and the Fuseling just drains this. Each opponent deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. So, say goodbye, Mr. Fuseling, unless we find a way to heal you. We could. Let's do it. Resolve. Thanks, bud. Appreciate you. We'll put it on the Forge still. And we will... What do you say? What's the next one? Discard any number of cards and draw that many cards and then create a 4/4. Let's go with you. Get some more board presence out there. Opponent wants to sit back and do a bunch of nothing. Let him. we put a little bit of heat on our Fusling, just trying to end the game before that 4/4 shows up. And what looked like a slow start turned into a fast second gear. So he'll have to stop 3 attempts. And what he doesn't know is we've got the lightning strike to the face. So if even the Mayhem Patrol gets by, it's over. I don't think that I'm going to see 3 bodies hit the deck here. I see 1. I see 2, but I don't see the problem is he's costing himself life with his pain lands. Yeah, that's what a Churning Reservoir Forge does to you. Kind of ends you. Alright, we are so close, 6 spells away. And our red deck is just humming. Humming. It's going about 500, but the fact that it's just playing. Go. It's kind of a fun deck to play. I would like to have those Reckless Impulses in order to keep the cards coming and flowing, so I don't have to slow down and kind of choose which ones I play. I can really kind of go with the most amount of mana as possible. But I think that the key to success is getting the most amount of value out of each card. And, you know, you see something like this, you've got your 2 lands, and you've got your generally do nothing during turn 1 and turn 2. Can be a bit of a scary hand for us to carry around here. We don't have anything that's 2-drop besides this Reckless Impulse, and if we cast it, we don't have any cards to do it. So I'm just going to pretend like the tap land got me, and I'm going to actually pass this whole turn and let the whole thing go by. Oh, the tap land got me. It got me. Oh, the Fable. Oh, the Fable. Not the Fable. The cool thing is we had a little bit left over here, so we just bye Fable. And it turns out we didn't end up leaving anything behind because we have a turn 3 Forge. We know how that works. Tuck! Turn 3 Forge is going to be putting out some serious damage pretty quick, but we are going to hit the gas on that. Very good defender for what we're trying to do. It's mid-0. We don't need to sacrifice it. Just that first strike capability makes life really, really tough. We can hold this for a second. We can always cast this. Well, it's sorcery speed, so we got to cast it now if we're going to look. We just give us 2 extra cards to look at. Both of those are nice interaction cards. So, cool with this. And when I say interaction, what I mean is it's a card that will interact with their side of the board. Right? Okay, so we have a Forge, we have a Squee, and we have a Hexgold Slash. I think the right answer is go Squee, go. Go Slash, go. Let the synthesizer just go back. And the reason why I like this is it just creates the biggest, widest threat that the opponent has to deal with. And, well, they might have the perfect answer here. They do. Good on them. That's okay. They're using an entire turn to interact with our side of the board without putting anything on the deck. And things like Fable the Mirror Breaker, as powerful of a card as they are not the kind of scary power that we would normally deal with. Okay, so we're looking at a total of 5 mana, and these are 2 3s. So we have a decision to make. We could bring our Squee back, and we could actually cast it. I do kind of like that strategy. I also think, though, that opponent has done nothing, and we've been giving him time on the damage front. So let's forge it. Let's double forge this thing. I think I dig this. I'll attack this. He'll block the 1. We'll get 7 damages. Like, my man is in trouble. He's in trouble. He's going to cast something huge. Something huge. He'll get a treasure. He'll have 5, 6 mana to cast. It's a Shivy and something. It's going to get ugly. Didn't even attack. Interesting. Okay, that's game over, right? Sprinter or no, we're gonna cast it. It's going to put out a couple of those right there. We'll click next. Both of these will hit the deck. We're all attacking. We got more than lethal. There's not much you can do, but we're gonna go ahead and make life difficult for you anyway. Let's go. And the forges to the rescue. Okay. It just gives us another shot at the Magmatic Sprinter coming back out on the deck, and I don't think that they've got 17 damage in their hands at this point right now. This looks like 5, and whatever they attack with, they don't defend with. Good on them. Good on them. The problem is, New Forge is still got trample, right? Let's go, Sprinter. New Forge. All attack. How did he come over there? Confused. Okay. Let's go. You seem to be out of cards. I don't think that's going to be enough. Just doing the math off the top of my head, I didn't think a 1/1 blocking a 13 trampler is enough. Second Forge to the rescue. We did it. That one lasted a little bit longer than the previous ones, and we got our gold, and we got our gold. So let's put our gold to good use really quick because we got about 30 minutes. We got time. We got time. I don't know. I'm panicking. What did we do? A bunch of werewolves last time. We won the first game out of the pack. We added things like Child of the Pack and Tovalar to an Ascendant Pack Leader to our wolf deck in an attempt to kind of beef it up. I actually really like this Wolfkin Outcast as well. That we had an extra copy of. Also made the deck. And Kessig. Also another really excellent addition to it. Hey, we also have this. I just noticed this. I did say that we passed a level. It must have been right here, level 14. Let's open up our pack. Let's see what the pack attack gets us. Our first black toxic card, one of the least played formats that I see that's out there. There is a black and blue toxic Dimir control deck that seems to do pretty well. It relies on single individual card spells, not necessarily damage with toxic getting across the finish line, and then proliferate as a way to kind of get things by. You use things like Techathol to double your proliferate attempts to kind of speed things up at the end. It's a really fun deck to use. I watched somebody draft it, actually, incidentally draft it. It wasn't what they were going through the first pack and a half, and then they still ended up with it, and it was just, it was really powerful. This is also a way more powerful piece of equipment than people give it credit for. Toxic stacks. So even if you have a toxic creature, you're adding a toxic to it. If you have a flying creature that doesn't have toxic, you're adding a toxic to it, and you're giving it the +2, which is a lot of times the biggest problem with a flying creature, right? It just doesn't have the toughness to be able to kind of continually push damage. You're always risking its life every time it attacks because it's like a 3/1 or a 2/1 kind of deal. So putting a prosthetic injector into what seems like an innocuous overseer, right? A 2/1 flyer that gives you a card and a piece of life when you come into the deck. It's just really a cool way to like beef up your attack. And a Copper Line Gorge. Yay! That's that is the card that will get used more than any other rare card that we could have drawn, and it's still the card that we are the most disappointed to get because it just doesn't have the fun factor. It has the oh my mana will be smooth in those two colors, red and green, right? I can't wait, but that doesn't help us much. Anyway, we got the check mark, we got the win. We would just be playing for fun, but we're not going to do that. We're going to resign and we're going to start over. Let's take a look at what we got. Spooky, resurrected, and modified. I have not seen a modified yet. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. Spooky is got an organ hoarder on it, and I've seen it before. It I think is the Mirror Hall Mimic. Um, you have a Mirror Hall Mimic enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature on the battlefield, except it's a spirit in addition. So it's another one of these like copy your best card for 4 mana kind of deal. This one doesn't come with a shield counter to it or anything like that. And Spooky kind of really deals more with graveyard synergies. If I look at it, it says Spirit Tribal with Innistrad Horror flavor built into it. Um, we're going to see a lot of spirits come back in the new Innistrad remastered set. So having a bunch of spirits kind of that we used to work before isn't necessarily a bad thing for us, and it could really open up a spirit deck in the new set. But it's down the road, and I mean, who could wait till tomorrow? Who can think about tomorrow today, right? Like we can't do that. We gotta go. So resurrected, we're gonna move past it as if it didn't exist. The rare that we would get most likely is something called Gix's Command. And Gix's Command is a fun card. Basically, there are two things that you're going to do with it. It's one of these command cards that has 4 options. You get to pick two. Urza's Command is kind of geared more towards creating power stones and a golem that has the same power as all the artifacts that you've got. I think Gitana's makes two bears, and then can put 2+2+2 counters or +1/+1 counters, 2 of them on every creature that you've got. Gix's Command destroys each creature with power 2 or less. So really get rid of those go wide, wedding announcements, Skrelv's Hives, those kinds of things. Yeah, the go wide features that we've got, where we've got all those little 1/1 tokens, human tokens, like all over the place. It also works really good against soldiers, because there are a lot of soldiers that flash in that are 1/1 or 2/2. So wipe out the 2/2s. And then the other thing that you can do is each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among the creatures they control. So a lot of times you have a lord hanging up over all of these tokens. You get rid of the lord as well. So a bit of a mini board wipe with Gix's Command for 5 mana in black. Pretty solid stuff. Self-mill and reanimation is the mechanics that gets involved in this. I never liked this one right here. It's just kind of a graveyard cleaner. So not a big fan of the mechanic, very big fan of the card, but we don't have a black deck to put this into. It would be purely like, let's get started on building a black deck. Like that's what we'd be thinking. Modified is a equipment deck that would give us an Inchblade Companion, and an equipped creature gets +1/+1, and then whenever it becomes attached to a creature, you get to create a token that's a copy of the companion, except it doesn't have the ability to copy itself, right? So you can kind of just sort of continually put an Inchblade over and equip it for 2 onto each and everything, just handing out +1 counters essentially as you go, which is kind of cool. I've never found great use for it. It's not been something that like has ever taken over a game. And then it's got the modified mechanic, which means there's going to be a lot of equipment in that deck. Red, white, modified can be really fun. Angel, Soldier, Sanctuary Warden is the mythic that's on there, and it says when it enters the battlefield with 2 shield counters onto it, it's a 5/5 for 6. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you get to remove a counter from a creature or planeswalker you control, and if you do, you draw a card and create a 1/1 green and white citizen token. So, bit of one of these like, lords that kind of continually create tokens along the way, almost exactly what Gix's Command is designed to destroy, right? Of these 3 options, by far the most interesting one is this. And so, spirits, yay, nay, resurrected, sure. Let's go. Let's get some black going. We don't have any, and it's probably time. All right, we could look at maybe getting a shot at the other command as well in here, the Urza's command. Yeah, Urza's command is the reaction to, or is the rare that's most likely to come from Urza. Urza is going to have a very high artifact synergy inside the blue deck, which we already have a like a watery artifacts. Type of deck. We'd probably be building that deck up quite a bit. Mishra um, might even have a command as well. Did all four commands make it into? That's funny. Yeah, Mishra's command is the other option besides Skitterbean Battalion. The two best things in Mishra's command are like probably the worst of all of the Mishras, or all of the commands. They're like deal X amount of damage, or target creature gets plus X and gains haste. It can be a really nice finishing move if you've got a lot of mana and you've had a major board stall, but red rarely finds itself in that situation. You're usually just attack, attack, go, go. I don't block, I just go. And that means that Mishra is fighting itself, right? It's fighting into an artifact theme. It's fighting into a stalled board, staring at each other kind of deal. Let me get somebody who goes over the top, and that's just not likely to be utilized nearly as much. I'm also not a huge fan of Urza's command. I've used it quite a bit in a few other decks. Never to the kind of effect that the other, like the Gix's command was that was in there. Finally, we have Virulent. And Virulent is poison counters and proliferate with a shot at a venerated Rot Priest. I want to be the bad guy. Sometimes I want to. I want to make my opponent cry, and there's no better way to do that than a venerated Rot Priest. Or a Glissa Sunslayer. This is the most powerful two rares and mythics in the meta today. You can win games with a Rot Priest like in by turn 3 if you've got the right spells that are surrounding it. We do not have the right spells, but there's no way to get there unless we pick it. So let's pick it. Glissa's really fun. She's got First Strike and she's got Death Touch. And a First Strike Death Toucher is very, very hard to kill. So hold your breath. Let's see if we got her. I'm as happy as a little girl. All right, Glissa Sunslayer. Hell yeah. I think that is going to be a major game winner for us. Death Toucher for 2 with 1/1 is really good. I have no problems with putting the War Plow and thinking about it. Necrogen Communion is one of my favorite cards to use with a Bright Belly Rat. Because if you do get a little bit of toxic on them, you're getting an opportunity to put 2 extra. So you could literally corrupt the guy with 1 hit. They destroy the rat proliferates, that's a 4th piece of it. Hey, the rat comes back ready for the 5th piece of it. Just really quickly get half of their toxic stuff done. Plague Nurse is not the greatest of cards. Gigamoles are useful. You may put a creature card from among cards milled into your hand, and if you don't, Gigamole gets bigger. So one way or the other. What was the other one? Oh, the Gix's command. This is the other board wipey. The two +1/+1 counters on one creature and it gains lifelink. It's just very underwhelming compared to what you could get about destroying all the powers of 2 or less. Return 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand can be very, very useful, especially if one of them happens to be a Glissa, right? That's a game changer. This thing hits the deck, and if you don't have an answer for it, it's over. The other piece to Glissa that really is the most frustrating is that you can remove up to 3 counters from a target permanent. Those can be their oil counters, their shield counters, their indestructibility counters on their Praetors. It's kind of scary how powerful Glissa really is as an individual card. This is one of those cards that you don't need to strike somebody in order to put a poison counter on them. They get to pick what they're sacrificing, but getting an oil counter across the finish line is sometimes a good way to finish a game off too. And Necrogen Rot Priest is a very, very powerful card. Whenever a creature you control with toxic deals combat damage, that player gets an additional poison counter. So put a Necrogen Communion on a Glissa Sunslayer and attack and watch what happens. Just watch. Just watch. I have no idea if that's going to work out today, but we're going to try it. Find out. Black is, right now, I would say the most meta. What country are you based in? Oh, that's very interesting. Okay. Let's see. We've got 20 minutes to get a win. Is this the win? Target creature gets 1/1, -2. We have a 2 mana, 3/1, and we have a Thopter. Yeah, we're keeping this. We'll throw a tap land out as the first one, since we don't have anything to do on turn 1. What do you think? We do the flyer first? Yeah. No. We'll do the harvester first. Well, let's see what they got. So the cool thing about the vermin is they get to mill, and then you get to see what gets milled, right? And so that'll just tell you a little bit about what's coming next. So they got zombies. This thing creates a 2/2 zombie, and this thing creates a 2/2 zombie creature. Exploit means that they can sacrifice a creature, and that's how they create a zombie. It's kind of like sacrifice a creature for a zombie. I'm sure there's really smart ways to use that. You just don't jump off the page to me today. Okay, Eerie Soul Tender seems pretty cool. Right. We are going to Whisper of the Dross this thing. And attack him. Just because he's threatening 3 damage to R1. And that's not cool. Right? That's not cool. I like to touch the green flames. Alright, so he'll get a chance to pick out a card from the top 3 of his library. That's always a pretty powerful thing, but it's a pretty low board effect for 4 mana. We've got 4 mana to use. We could put a flyer to go in over the top. We could do a 3/1 attack. I think I kind of like the idea of using our 4 mana to get some toxic going. And so I think that's what we're going to do. I think we're going to disfigure this because it just takes out his creature. We're going to toss this onto here, which normally doesn't have toxic built into it. And out of nowhere, a 2/2 toxic attack just happened. Like, whoa, where did that come from? Didn't see that. A great way to think about toxic is this. You start the game with 10 toxic available before you're dead and 20 life before you're dead. So about 50%. Dude, you pulled a Liliana. My man pulled a Liliana. Well, this is the perfect answer for Liliana. Because what happens is she'll make me sacrifice. It'll come back. It'll go ahead and do a damage to the conscript. I don't think I can pick this. So I can just take out the conscript. And then I can just attack right back at the Liliana. So, unfortunately, not knowing exactly how the Vermin and the Necrogen work together, you probably didn't see that slapping back at you quite so fast. We are going to go ahead and throw this guy up and this guy up. And we have got our threats on the board. We've taken out their biggest threat, which was this Planeswalker, for sure. I have played this game for like 5 months, and I've got none. Like, not one Liliana. None. And I have done a lot of jump-ins. And so, it is maddening to see somebody get one. I'm like, yeah! It's that card that usually keeps me from making a lot of black decks. If I do the all-attack, right, I'm missing out on the 2+1/+1 counters and it gaining lifelink for a turn, but that's about it. I just don't think Gix's command is really utilized. We'll get rid of that. Keep that from happening. I just don't think that Gix's command is utilized on offense. It's kind of a defensive card, right? Returning 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand would give us an opportunity to do what? Like, it doesn't... We don't have that problem just yet. We're doing 6 damage. We're on a 2-turn clock. Getting the extra 2 damage in the life gain would be gravy, but as it stands right now, it's not super important. Okay, that's going to eat up things like our Harvester and our non-vermin pretty fast. And if it had 2 toughness, I would just attack in with the vermin and let the extra piece of damage do its business. Since we don't, I'm going to end up going on the positive side here like this, and on the negative side and making them sacrifice a creature. So we're going to get 2+1s, gain lifelink, and we're going to take away their highest powered creature, right? And this is what I mean by it being kind of a board wipe, right? Like, we're going to put those on there. Just because those counters stay, even though the lifelink does not. And then we all attack, and we check out their stuff and say, you come back from the grave. We don't want that to happen. Astronaut's Harvester doing some pretty nice graveyard hate. Taking out 2 pretty scary graveyard, back from the graveyard guys. Threatening 8 damage here. Getting 4 life. In a good position. Ravenous Gigamole comes in. You may put a creature card from among cards milled into your hand, and if you don't, you put a +1 counter. We're definitely threatening lethal on the next turn. It's not really going to be a factor in this game. But it is nice as a mid-game card. To come out with a 3/4 isn't bad. I think if you've got other graveyard synergies and you need things in your graveyard, this is perfect, right? You're not losing too much in the struggle in order to make that happen. Okay, we can unearth. Unearth means that we'll get 1 extra attack. It'll have haste, and it'll hit the deck. If you've got extra mana, which we do, the unearth piece is kind of neat. So we're going to unearth it. But for now, we're going to do this first. And we could bring out the War Plow, I think, because we've got the 6 mana. So let's go back and go War Plow. Aww. We're only attacking with 6, but a War Plow would have been pretty game-breaking. It's a good deck. Gix's Command, got a chance to use it not to its fullest effect to board wipeout, but that's because we had done a better job of using our battle tricks and controlling their side of the board than they were able to. 250 experience. We are going to get our card that's out of there, and it's a Yoshian Dissonant, an excellent engine. We might have already had 4 of those. We can take a look and see. Strength in numbers, it does not have the artifact synergies that's into it. Yeah, we only had 1 that's in there. So doing a green-white artifact theme could be kind of fun. But more importantly, we have some black cards that I think strengthen this deck quite a bit. So we had this idea that both the Defilers would help promote the ability for Kaya to come down on the earlier side of things. And that is true. We've also kind of had a Nimrazor Paladin with a bit of a, like, the Toxic 2 and the 4/4 aren't extremely impressive by themselves. Return a target creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. This is the least potent individual card in our deck. Necrosquito can get huge. Defiler can help us ramp into game-winning kinds of stuff. Ravenous Necrotitan's a 6/6, and this is a 4/4 for an extra mana. You can kind of see, like, something doesn't line up. So if we pop that out and we go directly to here, what other cards at the 5 mana slot look pretty good? A Gix's Command is a 5 mana card that looks pretty good that we could pop into there. Long Reach of the Night, each opponent sacrifices a creature unless they discard a card, and then you exile this, and it's become something that's equal to the number of things in your graveyard. This thing will pull something out of your graveyard onto the battlefield. It can have flash if there are 5 or more things in the graveyard. Considering that we're killing everything, it's something to consider. But I hate the idea of, like, needing to spend 5 mana to cast a 3 mana guy or a 4 mana guy. Just to me, it doesn't seem likely to pay off the way that we'd want it to. We do have another Necrogen Communion, and since we are in the artifact, like the sacrificey, kill our own guys kind of deck, I think that we're using it. This is the other piece of the puzzle too. We are going to go with the grasps over the other options. simply because what the grasp will give us is an opportunity to kind of give us an opportunity to lose the 2 life but gain the 2 life, right? Especially if we're using it on our own creatures. So something strange to consider, but pretty good. Phyrexian Missionaries, Ossifications, Norms, Wellsprings, Jawbone Duelists. All of these are good and sacrificable, which is the 2 criteria that we're looking for. I don't know about my Savior to Olimbark. I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say no to the other Nimrazer Paladin. And I think that the strength of this deck went up a little bit because we're going to be able to bring back some things that we are sacrificing and killing, and we're getting triggers on. And so we've got kind of a nice little circle of life going on here. We've got some removal, some removal, some removal, and we've got the stop their ability to heal built into it. But more than anything, I feel like we've got quite a bit going on that's going to help us out. So we're bringing things back from the graveyard. For a shot, we could toss in a Necrogen on top of that. And so for 3 total mana, we could kind of revive our Yoshian or our Razor Lash. If we can bring this back on the cheap for 2 black instead, for 4 total mana, we can reset that thing too and bring it back on there. So there's some fun tricks that I think exist. The Steel Seraph, we could drop in a Necrogen on our Steel Seraph, use the Braids, destroy it, force them to get rid of one of their creatures. Watch Steel Seraph come back not as a 3/3, but come back as a 5/4. That's always a nice one. All this pumps Necrosquito. All this allows our Ravenous Necrotitan to come in. These communions also allow the Corruption to exist a lot earlier. So I think we're just in a win mode. Let's try it. Do I have time to play one game? We have time to play one game with the new makeup on there. We're just trying, by the way, on the dials to get a regular win and to cast some spells. We got about half of the spells cast. We're not going to be able to complete that, but that's okay. Looking at you. Brand's Braids. Not sure. I'm not sure about the synergies here continuing to pay off the way we built them initially. If they don't, they don't, and that's okay. But if they do, I'm happy. Just because this has been kind of a hodgepodge. It was the very first, build around that we did with rare cards that we had. We had 4 copies of Ran. This is really kind of cool. I like this. We can go out with one of these on 1. Before we attack on turn 2, we can pop our Ran. That way, if we're attacking directly into something, it's no big deal. Since we didn't see that, I think that we throw in our second chorus. And we can get a little bit of Toxic on. Necrosquito will be nice if we can delay some of these. Okay. Tippity tap, tap, tap. With 3 total mana, it's either the Graph Reaver, which will exploit and kill something, and then become a nice 3/3 effect. We don't care about losing one of our guys, because we're going to get the payoff on the death trigger. And gain some life. Now come on and attack, Celestial Regulator. You're going to take my Vran, aren't you? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Righty. We could pop the kicker on the Missionary and return the chorus back to the hand. And we could... We're going to say no attacks because we're just not getting the death triggers that we're looking for yet on there. If he chooses to attack, we'll have to see what his defense looks like on the back end. That's not going to do much on the defense side of things. Well, it could. Nice, yeah, it could. Okay. We're up to 5, which means that we could cast a Necrosquito. And we could cast a Crawling Chorus. right? And we could do an all-out attack. Why not, right? The idea being that maybe the crawling chorus gets killed, um, Necrosquito gets pumped, and it's now going to be big enough to withstand the Celestial Regulator. I know that doesn't seem like a winning turn, but getting the Necrosquito out of range of the Celestial Regulator and allowing it to be a covered attack is huge. The fact that like our Phyrexian Missionary is still alive out of that because of the 2-3 versus 2-3 kind of category, well, my removal on removal with removal has removed my removal. I could do two things. If I exploit this, at the beginning of your upkeep, he does damage to me. He exploits a creature, destroy. When he exploits a creature, you get to destroy a Planeswalker. We don't have a Planeswalker to deal with. So I think what we would do is we would drown in Ichor, the Celestial Regulator. Right? Yeah. And that's fine. And that helps. And then we will bring this up as a bit of a bomb. If we attack in, we're going to lose something, and I'm not sure we're going to gain anything out of it. If we had our Vran still here, we would definitely attack in and gain something out of it. We are a lot closer, though, to poisoning them out than we are to anything else. This is going to help out a ton. Now we've got something of large strength, and I'm fine trading Phyrexian Missionary or Razor Lash Transmigrant. What happened? I'm going to give you one piece of advice, and then we're going to call an end to the stream because I got to go take kids to school. This looks bad, but there are cards that are out there that remove more than just what you see. One of the fastest ways to remove cards is to fight, right? Two things come together. Sometimes only one of them survives, sometimes none of them survive, but it cleans up the board. So if you want to do stuff like what they're trying to do, control the forefront, right, of the deck, you also need to have an offense, and you need to keep the offense before things have a chance to pump up and get bigger and stronger. This is definitely something that gets to come in without having to worry about sacrificing. Now, we had mites. Crawling Chorus works really, really nice with the Ravenous Necrotitan. So, okay. But once we knew that we had gotten here, this guy hits the deck for free. We don't lose any of our width. We all attack in. What's he going to do at this point? I mean, could kind of do a 1-to-1 this way and a 1-to-1 that way. And the two biggest threats are done, but he's taken 3 more damage, and he's got a 6 facing him. The best I can imagine is he'll be at 7 toxic. He can use a removal spell on the Necrotitan, and now he's got 3 toxic threatening him. The problem isn't his mana. The problem is he's got 1 card in hand. So these are clunky, right? You're spending 3 mana. You're not affecting your side of the board, and you're only affecting 1 card on their side of the board. There were many turns where we, for 3 mana, were able to accomplish more than one thing, right? This is a card in our hand and a card on the deck. This is a card on the deck that gets replaced with another card on the deck and kind of half triggers another card that we did. So they kind of like think of it like an extra half a card that's happening. There's just a lot of extra value after we played the card. And that's what wins Magic games, not removal spells. Removal spells are great in allowing your value to make it all the way to the finish line, but they're not great by themselves. By themselves, these two cards don't really synergize with each other. They don't create a lot of offense that can come out. They don't add cards back to their hand. And so, you know, you paid a card and you spent 3 mana to take out my 2 mana creature. You played a card and took out 3 mana to take out my 4 mana creature. Good, but by then it was allowing other things to happen, right? Like you're also not stopping these from getting in there and corrupting you. Once you got corrupted, this became suddenly much, much more powerful. So just keep in mind what you're looking for is not what's the most fastest way for me to spend all my mana, but what's the fastest way for me to put as much value on the board out of the cards that I've got. And a lot of times that means holding things back, picking your right timing, and kind of making sure that you're sneaking things out there and getting them across the finish line. A Loran, Disciple of History, whenever it or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, return a target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. I like this. I don't know if you've noticed, this is an artifact synergy card that goes along with Yoshian, who's also got artifact synergies in the green-white column. So there is a green-white artifact deck being born before our eyes. It's a little over an hour. We're going to call it right there. This was a lot of fun today. I think we did some good things, and I will catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.